HTTV in association with Absolute Warehouse Services. Emyr, first of all, the point of this interview is to announce you as Huddersfield Town's Academy Manager. Obviously, we made that announcement a few months ago, but this is your first proper day in the job. Why did you want to be Huddersfield Town's Academy Manager?
Thanks, Adam. For me, it's not just a matter of being an academy manager. That's always been a long-term aim of mine, but the crucial thing is, for me, that the opportunity came to do it at Huddersfield Town. This academy model is something that I believe in really passionately, and I completely believe that we can create a legacy here as a club that are brave enough to think differently, not follow the crowd, and almost be a flagship for a different way of operating an academy, which I find really exciting. Recognising potential in young people and helping them to develop that has always been the thing that really excites me. So I'm looking forward to building on what Lee has put in place at the club over the last few years and really driving this academy forward. If I'm honest, it's probably come slightly sooner than I was expecting, but it was obvious that as soon as that opportunity came up, I had to grab it and make the most of it. This is a club that means a lot to me and has shown a lot of faith in me. So I'm going to do everything in my power to pay that back.
And you, obviously, when we made all the academy changes, you worked really closely with Lee Bromby in terms of that, the recruitment for the under-17 players and putting all the necessary strategic points in place. That must stand you in good stead, mustn't it, to just continue that going on? Yeah.
Well, my relationship with Lee goes back a long way. We've worked together closely for probably the best part of 7 years now. So we've been bouncing ideas between each other for a long time, and there's probably not much that we haven't thought about or discussed over that period of time. So we're really aligned in the way we think about football and development. But we've got the sort of relationship where we can be brutally honest with each other, which can be really powerful. And then more recently, we've obviously had this handover period of 3 months, which has been invaluable for me. But in truth, Lee's been giving me a lot of exposure to the role throughout the last 2 years, probably, I'd say. When Lee was continuing with his coaching role within the academy over that time, I was really lucky that Lee allowed me to get involved with a lot of the strategical and managerial parts of the job. So I was exposed to heading up meetings and lots of other parts of the role that I wouldn't normally have had access to. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And that's given me a great insight and allowed me to learn loads from him and the other senior staff at the club. So it's put me in a good place.
You mentioned the handover period for yourself, like you said, that must have been invaluable. What did you learn over that period of time?
Yeah, so when the changes were announced, which was nearly 3 months ago now, this was always going to be a handover period where I would learn as much as I could from Lee, get everything in place, ready for when I take over the role properly. Obviously, we weren't expecting a worldwide pandemic to be thrown in the middle of that, so that's thrown a few different challenges in. But really, just to spend more time with Lee, getting into the nitty gritty of the role, meetings with all the staff and players within the role, just to set my standard and let them know what I want to bring to the role, really, which is obviously very close to what Lee was doing anyway. And Lee's going to be here for the next period to support me through this as well. So it's been really, really good.
Having him as head of football operations really strengthens the link, doesn't it, between the first team and the academy? I mean, since we've done the changes, 9 players have gone from the academy to make their first team debut, but that'll just make it even stronger.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. We've spoken about this a lot, and it's all about alignment throughout the club, really, and that goes for staff and players. The biggest thing I've learned during my time in football is how important it is for clubs to have a joined-up approach and for everyone to be pulling in the same direction. So you see it at other clubs all the time where the academy teams are playing completely different styles to the first team and just have no connection whatsoever. So in my opinion, that makes it unnecessarily hard for young players to make that transition. to the first team. So Lee being in that role should give a massive boost to all the academy players, because it shows that the club want to be joined up. We want to be one club. We want to develop individuals that includes all the players and staff. So it's a really exciting time to be a young person at this club. We speak to the staff here all the time about wanting to be the best club in the country at that transition of young players from academy to the first team, which is something I truly believe we can do over the next few years, because I know how good this group of young players here is, and then I know what Danny's philosophy is and what Lee's skill set is in making that happen. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously now we're in a difficult situation, like you alluded to earlier, the COVID-19 pandemic. We know that the academy fixtures have all been terminated for the rest of this season. What does that mean now for the young players, the 17s, 19s, EDT players? What are they doing now?
Yeah, so it's obviously been a crazy time. I think everyone was expecting the academy games to get cancelled, so we planned for that a long time ago. So that didn't really change much, to be honest. I think first and foremost, the most important thing during this time has just been focusing on everyone's well-being and making sure that all the players are safe, their families are safe, because it's obviously it's a tough time for everyone, especially young people that aren't used to spending loads of time stuck inside. So after that, it's really been about trying to find a balance between giving them structured work to do and giving them freedom to just have time to reflect and be curious and just spend time with the ball and playing with the family in the back garden, and almost connecting with why they fell in love with the game in the future in the first place, which almost gets forgotten sometimes in the sort of relentlessness of football. So that's been one positive aspect of it. We've tried to view it as an opportunity. So every player has an individual development plan anyway that's specific to them. So everyone knows what their main focus is during this period with no games. But that could be getting quicker, stronger, putting on some muscle mass for some individuals that might need that. The performance staff have done a great job in just being there for them and giving them advice, giving them different programs to challenge them, regular video calls to help them with their gym sessions, setting up different competitions throughout this time. A number of the players have even taken weights home with them from our gym before this started, because we sort of could see where it was going a couple of months ago. So there's probably a few parents that are getting fed up with weights being thrown around the living rooms and stuff, but lads have been really engaged with it, which has been good. And then the majority of the lads are still doing education and continuing with their college courses, which are being done online. So that education side is something that's really important to us. So this has been an opportunity for them to get a lot of work done from home. And then on top of that, there's been analysis tasks, regular analysis review meetings where we're getting the players to watch teams and players from around the world, just to give them a different look at the game, hopefully inspire them, give them some new ideas. Some of the players have been designing their own sessions, coming back to us, having discussions with us about why they've done that. So yeah, there's still loads going on, and it's actually a really good time for the players to just take some ownership and responsibility for their own development, which hopefully will stand them in good stead for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That must be a really good point for yourself and the coaches as well, to see which of the players are really taking ownership, which ones are really determined to succeed when they're putting their own plans together.
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately, it's not the staff that's going to play in that stadium in 2 years' time. It's the players that are going to have to do that. So a big part of what we believe in at this academy is developing that ownership and responsibility within the players. So the staff are almost here to guide them to that place. A lot of it has to come from them, and we have to be facilitators of that, and give them the space to grow and explore different areas. so ultimately, when they get to that first team environment, they've got the skill set to be able to cope.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not just been coaches and the likes of yourself speaking to the academy players. When we spoke just before this interview, you mentioned that Lewis O'Brien, Christopher Schindler, Tommy Elphick have all been ringing the young lads. You organised that. Why have you done that?
Yeah, for a number of reasons, really. One, it's great just to have that communication with the first team players and have that connection. The three lads you mentioned were really up for it and were really keen to get involved. So yeah, we set up some Q&A sessions with the younger academy players. It's just really relevant, especially if you think of Lewis. Lewis embodies the type of person and player we want to develop in this academy, and even the club as a whole, really. So it's really powerful for him to be able to speak to the younger players, because his story is one that they can resonate with and connect with. Like Lewis will openly admit that he wasn't the best player at their age. So when he was 16, 17, even 18, he wasn't the best player in that group. But he's got to where he is now through his work ethic, his curiosity and belief in himself. So them messages that he can give to the players are far more powerful than what we can as staff, because it's real for them. He's living it out right in front of their eyes. So the younger players should get real confidence that pathway is clearly open for them, and the club want to give talented and ambitious young players a chance.
And I suppose by having that relationship in just a Q&A, if the academy players do make the step up, even just to train with the first team, they've already got a little bit of a relationship where they can feel a little bit more comfortable and settle in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the training ground's good for that anyway. It's quite a close-knit family sort of environment, so that connection is always there. And I think now with Lee in that role, and the club being really aligned, it's going to just allow more opportunities for these sort of conversations where the academy players can learn off Shindy or can learn off Lewis, and they're comfortable speaking, and they've got the academy players have got the confidence and the voice to go and speak to them. I think that's really important, because making that transition is hard. So the more comfortable we can make them in that environment, in that changing room, the more comfortable they can feel when they get there. That's only going to help.
And obviously the COVID-19 situation, the pandemic, could change the face of football for the next few years to come.
Yeah,
that might put a greater calling on clubs using academy players. Is that something that excites you, knowing that the first team will look to you almost first to find players?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something we're thinking about and talking about all the time. I'm sure it will open up big opportunities for young players across the country, not just here. There'll be so much uncertainty with the transfer market that a lot of clubs will probably be a bit more cautious about bringing in signings from outside. And first team squads are likely to get smaller, just to bring the wage budgets under control a little bit. So naturally that will allow more opportunities for academy players, which is going to be great for all the young players in the country. So for us, it's just about trying to equip the players as well as we can with enough tools to be able to deal with that and be successful when they get there.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And this period, obviously, with the academy lads obviously going away and using this time on themselves, when they hear this, that there might be a potential chance if they continue their development to get into the first team, surely that will just inspire them even more.
Yeah, absolutely. We're reminding them of that all the time. The message is sort of get yourself mentally prepared for what might happen. So all of us, not just in football, we've all got to be really adaptable and ready for what might be thrown at us. And that's really applicable for the academy players at the moment. Nobody's really got any idea what's going to happen in 2 months, 6 months, a year's time. So they need to be really, really adaptable in their mindset to whatever's thrown at them.
Thank you very much, Ems, for taking the time out to speak to us, and I hope you and your family keep safe.
No problem. Thanks, Adam.